Welcome to Ramp Ready Module 2. Our first task in this module will be to complete a school data summary for your school. This will help us start working towards identifying goals for our school counseling program. We start with data because a comprehensive school counseling program is data-informed, and a data-informed program depends on an awareness and an analysis of school data. So what's so important about data? Well, reviewing data will help make us more efficient and effective. When we're able to identify needs for which we can set goals, we can then prioritize where we spend our time. We aren't randomly selecting interventions and strategies based on hunches of what students need. We now have information or data that tells us what they really need. We can be targeted or more surgical, if you will, in our strategies and interventions and shed some of the tasks, activities, strategies that are out of date, don't serve our students, are no longer or never were a need, things that were on our plate just because that's what we've always done. Additionally, when we have goals and results showing our accomplishments, we are perceived as efficient and effective by teachers and school staff, by parents and stakeholders, and most importantly, by administrators and those who make decisions about school services. Also, analyzing data helps us avoid cognitive biases. We all as humans are subject to cognitive biases. Cognitive biases are strong, preconceived notions about someone or something based on information we think we have, or that we lack. These preconceptions are mental shortcuts that our brain produces to expedite information processing, to quickly help us make sense of what we're seeing. There are different types of bias people experience that influence and affect the way we think, behave, and our decision-making process. For example, we may think we know why students are absent, such as students lack motivation or their parents don't believe school is important, but we may be falling victim to confirmation bias. This type of bias refers to the tendency to seek out information that supports something we already believe to be true. Or perhaps we're falling victim to another type of cognitive bias, such as fundamental attribution error. This bias refers to the tendency to attribute someone's particular behaviors to existing or unfounded stereotypes, while attributing our own similar behavior to external factors. For example, when someone you work with is late to an important meeting, you may assume that they're lazy or lacking motivation without considering internal and external factors, like an illness or a traffic accident that led to their tardiness. However, when you're running late because of a flat tire, you expect others to attribute the error to the external factor, the flat tire, rather than your personal behavior. Data on their own aren't biased one way or another. They simply reflect numbers and percentages. Instead of relying on our hunches or what we believe to be true about our students or our school or parents, which can be subject to various cognitive biases, data can show us how students are doing, where real needs are, especially related to outcomes, and what might be causing those needs. ASCA defines the school counselor's role as designing and delivering school counseling programs that improve student outcomes. Reviewing data will help us identify goals for student outcomes that will help guide our program's yearly focus. These goals aren't all that we do as a counseling program or encompass all of our work. We still deliver programming through lessons, large group presentations that all students receive, such as through a counseling curriculum like Second Step, or college and career advising through an advisory period, or even instruction that's required locally or by the state, such as abuse or suicide prevention. Rather, the annual student outcome goals are intended to provide an area of focus where we spend a little more time and more targeted support and effort for the school year, based on our students' current needs or persistent gaps that need to be addressed. These goals may stay the same for several years, or they may change year to year, depending on what results the data show. Either way, we revisit our data and goals each year. Student outcome goals focus on outcomes related to either achievement, attendance, or discipline. Why these three areas? Well, research shows better attendance improves academic achievement, and students behave better in school who are more likely to achieve. And ultimately, student academic achievement, or really student success at school, is our ultimate goal as school counselors. So we need to first look at student outcome data related to achievement, attendance, and discipline in order to identify our program's goals for the year. Think about where and what kind of student data is available related to achievement, attendance, and discipline. This data could come from state reports, from your student information system, from student services personnel in your building, such as your school nurse, PBIS coordinator, a dean. In Indiana, the Department of Education has an online data dashboard for every school called InView, where you can find achievement, attendance, and discipline data disaggregated by student groups. You'll find this website linked here in our system. ASCA uses a school data summary to help gather, organize, and review and understand your school's data, and it provides you with a picture of the status of your students, particularly around achievement, attendance, and discipline, which will then help you identify your annual student outcome goals. We've broken down the school data summary into several manageable steps, which we'll now walk through. We'll start with who can help us find and understand data and our school's priorities for students. First, identify and describe who in your school can help you with data. Think about who runs your reports. Who's your data expert? Who can help you interpret the data? Again, think about available student data related to achievement, attendance, and discipline from state reports, from your student information system, from others in your building. Next, look to your school improvement plan goals. What are they? The school improvement goals identify your school's prioritized work. Consider in which areas might the school counseling program support the work of the school improvement plan. For example, if achievement is a school priority, you might work with students on academic skills, appropriate scheduling, or class attendance. If you don't sit on your school improvement team, you can read the school improvement plan or make an appointment with your administrator to discuss the school improvement plan. It's important for the school counselor to think about how your work will inform the overall goals of your school. Next, you'll review your school's achievement, attendance, and discipline data using whatever reports you have identified. Again, these can be from the state, such as Indiana's InView from DOE, or from your school's own student information system, or from any other reports or sources available to you. You'll first look at and identify what's working well according to your school data reports. As you begin looking at data, it's good to keep in mind that you don't need to track or look at everything. Select 2 or 3 measures within each of the 3 types of data and review those subgroups. For example, when looking at achievement data, such as benchmark or standardized test results, you might narrow it down further to a specific grade level or specific group of students. Look at and identify what is working well according to your school data reports for achievement, for attendance, and for discipline. Be sure to look at disaggregated data by subgroup or categories, such as by race, ethnicity, grade, gender, socioeconomic status. Next, we'll look at some possible areas of need according to your school data reports. What are some possible areas of need according to your school data reports for achievement, for attendance, and for discipline? Again, make sure to look at disaggregated data for discrepancies by student subgroups or categories. Subgroup gaps could be by race or ethnicity, grade, gender, socioeconomic status. Also, consider your school's demographic makeup. Use this information to compare data for specific student subgroups. For example, your school's population might include 15% English language learners, but these students represent more than 50% of your students who are retained. This would be a significant overrepresentation. Another example might include underrepresentation of students when only 15% of African American students are placed in AP classes, even though they make up 35% of your student population. Next, we'll look at how your school's data compare with district and state data or other comparable data. We'll also look at what else we might want to know. How does your school's data compare with district and state data or other comparable data? Again, for Indiana schools, district and state data can be found on DOE's InView. Look for major trends or big needs. Think about, is there anything else that you need or want to know? This might include other data like surveys, pre-post tests, or needs assessments, or even anecdotal information from teachers, administrators, or parents that can help inform or provide context about what might be contributing to your need or gap or concern. If you used our student needs assessment, look at those results. These are called supplemental data, which we mentioned at the end of Module 1. If you used our student needs assessment, these results can be used as your supplemental data. Supplemental data will help you dig a little deeper and consider what might be contributing to these needs, gaps, or concerns. For instance, you'd want to find out more about why a data point for a certain class or grade level has a high number of absences, or in other words, help identify a root cause for why an issue is happening. And supplemental data can help us avoid potential cognitive biases and help more accurately target what's really going on. If you conducted a needs assessment or survey of your own or used ours, look to those results to help provide supplemental data that can give you context about what might be causing your issue. You'll describe your supplemental data as, what else do you need to know, in your school data summary. Finally, you'll identify and prioritize a few data points you can address through your school counseling program. Remember, you're reviewing data to help focus your work and create student outcome goals. Think about which data points will matter most for the upcoming school year. Also, not all data points may be able to be impacted in a meaningful way by the school counseling program, and trying to focus on too many will probably result in less than effective work. If it's not the best use of your time, leave it off. Selecting just a few data points will help you be more intentional and focused in delivering targeted interventions for specific student groups. So, how to help narrow down your data to just a few priority data points? First, think about your program's vision for all students from Module 1. Your vision statement communicates your program's ultimate outcomes for students. And consider which of the data points would most impactfully align with your vision for students. For example, if your vision says that all students are the best learners, friends, and citizens they can be, but you identified a high incidence of discipline referrals for aggressive behaviors, a student outcome goal focused on reducing these discipline referrals would help you move closer to your vision of having students who are the best friends and citizens they can be. Also think about your school's improvement plan goals that you looked at when completing your school data summary and the areas you listed where the school counseling program might support the work of the school improvement plan. These are the priorities for your school and your administrators, so they can help provide a map to what's most important to your school right now. Finally, make sure to identify a data point that targets a gap for a narrow or specific group of students. A comprehensive school counseling program includes work around closing achievement, attendance, or an opportunity gap or disciplinary inequities. And closing the gap work is always goal-driven. Closing the gap work is more narrowly focused and targets a particular subgroup or gap among student groups. Once you've narrowed down your data priority points to at least 2, but no more than 5, that will matter most, enter your data priority points. Think about how your counseling program can address these. Then enter a brief description how each of your data priority points will be addressed through your counseling program. At this point, this can be in a specific way, maybe through a lesson or a small group, for example, or it can be in a more general or indirect way, such as counselors serving on the school safety response committee, for example. Remember, don't get lost in too much data. Keep focused on what matters most at your school. Don't let the data confirm your assumptions. Let the data tell you what's actually happening. Your tasks to complete for this school's data summary section are: identify and gather student achievement, attendance, and discipline data that are available to you. Also identify and gather any supplemental data, such as needs assessments, surveys, information from teachers or parents. Then review the data and complete all of the school data summary tasks. Completing the school data summary will help walk you through the process of analyzing and prioritizing your data, which will then lead to our next set of tasks, setting goals. Thanks for viewing this video on the school data summary. As always, we're available for individual support through email, phone, text, or online by Zoom. If you need support, just reach out by calling, texting, or emailing me at kelly@inspiresuccess.org.